Welcome to Married and Family Living with the Grasleys on 92.7 WSJF.
A show focused on the domestic church, the family, which is the foundation of faith and spirituality.
We hope you find our stories encouraging and helpful as we share our challenges of
Married and family living.
Good evening, Linda.
Hello, Alan.
What an exciting night this is.
So exciting. I love your bow tie.
Thank you. You know how...
I've never seen you in a tux.
Well, you know, it's been 50 episodes, Linda.
Yeah.
I mean, did you
Confetti.
see all those? Yeah, did you see all the people ready for the party after the post-recording show party we got going? I heard Bishop Lori might even be here for that.
Sure.
We invited the Pope, but he's a little busy. Yes, it's been 50 episodes. So, first of all, wow.
Wow.
I think when we first started off in this journey in September 2018,
Yeah, I was thinking we might get 3 episodes.
I was thinking 5. I was thinking let's see.
You were saying a year. I was like, are you nuts?
12 years. I was thinking 12. We could come up with 12 episodes. And I think we went and talked to Danny in August. Well, I did.
There was no mouse in your pocket.
Well, Linda was kind of, what would you say? How was your feeling on doing a radio show? You were kind of like, I really don't want to, is what you said, right?
Well, I thought it sounded cool because at that point we had been listening to a lot of podcasts and we thought that was kind of cool, but I just didn't think we would be able to have enough material. And
every show we do since then has gotten better and better. The last show we did was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I've listened to it 5 or 6 times.
Humbly.
Yes, very humble. So we thought we would go through what some things were back in, because things are so different now. In September 2018, which was 50 episodes ago, because we missed a couple of, I think there was a couple months where it was the COVID thing. We weren't really doing much. And then one month I remember we were really busy.
Right.
And Danny just put something out. So September 2018, let's see, Matthew was
11,
going on 12. Mm-hmm. He just started his Scouts journey with 735, which is kind of funny. And now he's an Eagle Scout, which is cool. Catherine was 16 and she was driving. I saw a picture of her driving the Mustang.
And working at Papa John's.
And working.
Yeah.
So now she's moved out on her own, which is cool.
Yeah.
So
supporting herself.
And
awesome.
So let's talk about some funny stuff. We were just getting used to being in our 50s.
Well, we were in our 50s.
Well, we were like 52, 53. I don't know what it was.
Young 50s.
Yes, I was like 40s were just so we were getting used to, I'm in my 50s now.
Right.
So now we're like, hey, we're going to be 60 pretty soon.
Oy. You had to say that out loud. Thanks.
Well, sorry. And then, this has been going around on Facebook a lot about get your girlfriend something expensive for Valentine's Day, and it's a dozen eggs.
Eggs.
In 2018, a dozen eggs was $1.60.
That's crazy.
That's a deal, isn't it?
That's a bargain.
That's a bargain.
Dang.
What are they now? They're like $6, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Gas was $2.90, which isn't $2.90 a gallon, which really isn't
close-ish.
Yeah. And then we went on our first vacation at Chiquitique to see the horses. That was cool.
Yeah, for Kate's 16th birthday.
Yep. And the Eagles were getting ready to win the Super Bowl against the Patriots with what was that called? The Philly Special was that that was in February 2018. So that was before the show.
Yeah, before the show.
Okay.
That year.
So here we are. So so anyway, I just wanted to reminisce a little bit. Really, it's been amazing. 25 hours of us talking. Think about that, Linda. So when we're long gone, our kids could call this stuff up and say, what?
Oh, Lord, I'm sure that's exactly what they'll do.
Oh, yeah. Look at him. Look at him right now. He could tell he wants to do that. When he gets home, I could just tell right now. So anyway,
our last show.
That's a pretty good milestone. And just one more thing. I'm changing my LinkedIn profile to radio host podcaster now that we got 50 shows under us.
Okay.
So
all right.
Who knows where that's going to lead us to.
And that's special.
And I'm going to leave the 50th episode script on the bulletin board over here so everybody could see it. It'll be like a piece of memorabilia. Maybe they'll auction it off.
This is not on the paper you're reading.
No, it's not. All right, go ahead about our last show.
Yeah, so we discussed being the light in the darkness.
Yes, and recognizing what God has placed before us and trying to act on it.
Right. Yeah, by using your experience and your interests, things that you can use to serve others.
Right. And, we recognize, too, that we all have struggles. Like, you're always uncomfortable doing that kind of stuff unless you're just made that way. I mean, I am. I'm always kind of like, do I really want to do that? Do I really want to
put yourself out there?
Yes. Like, it'd be easier to just sit in the pew. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And saying somebody else should do that.
Right.
So.
Well, we were talking to a little bit about hoping that we were humble in our ideas last month about sharing our experiences and what we think we're kind of called to do, because hopefully we got it right in what he's called us to do.
Yes, I would think so.
But it feels right.
50 episodes can't be wrong, Linda. This is what we're called to do.
All right.
No, yeah.
Well, this month I know Al's getting annoyed with me because this is about married and family living. And so last month and this month, we really haven't focused on that. So we're going to kind of continue to talk about more on acting on God's call.
Yes, and you can do that within your marriage.
You can do it within your marriage. You can do it as a parent.
Yes.
Put
yourself out there and be available.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a lot about football, right?
Yes, actually, yes, we are.
I'm part of a women's Bible study right now. We're studying the Holy Spirit, which has been really cool. But there's this football analogy. Last month, you talked about saying the yes in church.
Yes, saying yes.
Yes.
Saying yes to God, not just in church, but when you leave church.
When you leave church. Well, there was an analogy in this study about, you're going to church is like being in the huddle and finding out what the play is going to be. And then you leave and they said, do you go and sit on the bench?
No, you run the play.
You got to run the play.
But if you're in the huddle, you're all excited. Like, I'm going to run a great play. We're going to score on this play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So this guy had that little video of that. That was kind of cool.
Right. And one of the women in the study, too, was talking about, because somebody said, well, how do you know if that's the right play? And she says, well, if you're uncertain, just put that little earpiece in your ear and listen to the play called again in your helmet and then get going. So I guess it's kind of, her analogy was, go back and ask God if that's the right play, to make certain.
So when I was playing football, if somebody wasn't sure of the play and they weren't sure what the blocking, like, hey, I was a lineman, so I was like, okay, do I block this guy? The coach always used to tell us, if you're not sure, just block somebody 100%. Don't do it timidly.
Not halfway because you're not sure if you should do it.
Yes, just block that guy like there's no tomorrow.
Okay.
So do it with 100%.
Yeah. With grace and love, right?
Well, this is football, right? So now we're talking about something else. So I don't know, grace or love. But the point is, don't do it tepidly.
Okay, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, is this the way to do it?
Right.
Just go for it. And have trust that God's got your back.
So in current events, I'm going to just shift gears to where we're going with this, is to Damar Hamlin, the young man who's a safety for the Buffalo Bills.
Week 15 or 16.
Yeah.
They played.
Terrifying.
Yes.
We are from Western New York, so we are Buffalo Bills fans, and we were all excited to watch this big game.
I was very excited to watch the game. It was like the focal point of the night.
Right.
It's like, we're going to sit down and watch the game, Linda.
The whole weekend. We couldn't wait.
Yeah. And
this young man they're calling it a cardiac event. I can't remember the term that they think it might be, but they're not sure.
Yeah, they haven't really released anything on it. So it was, my first reaction was, get him off the field and let's get this game going. It's too important. But then, they cut away to commercial, and you can just see the Bills players are just a wreck.
Yeah.
Totally
distraught.
like what's going on down there?
Crying. The ambulance is out on the field. They begin to, hold each other, pray together, and then they all huddle around Damar where he is, and these wonderful responders working on him. CPR for 9 minutes.
Yeah.
9 minutes.
That's crazy.
And they were surrounded by the players in prayer, the people in the stands in prayer, the people watching on TV.
It was nuts.
Mm-hmm. It was nuts.
It was, it was very moving.
Unfortunately, he was revived and miraculously recovering.
Yes, miraculously. It was a miracle.
It was a miracle.
It was a miracle. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't realize it was a miracle till probably 4 or 5 days later. Because, I read some stuff on it. I'm like, oh, he's going to be brain dead. Like, nobody survives 9 minutes CPR. It's very, like, I read a couple things saying, these cardiologists and stuff. And then he woke up and he started talking. Mm-hmm. It was, like, amazing. Incredible. And then...
breathing on his own. And,
yes. Mm-hmm. So, I'm pretty jaded there, Linda, a little bit. So...
You were a little skeptic of many things going on.
Yeah, and so it would make me mad that, I shouldn't say make me mad, but it's like these people are like, we just need to pray for him. We just need to pray for him. I'm thinking to myself.
The TV commentators on the news and sports.
Why are you saying that? You don't believe in that. That's kind of my...
We need to pray. And you're like, why do they need to pray now? They never prayed before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was kind of like that. And then, then you read about the recovery and it's like... And you see the whole outpour for this one young man. It's like, wow,
right.
It was a miracle.
Right.
Like he should not be here.
Right.
So I just was like, wow. And then we kind of came upon that. Well, then, you've never seen so much prayer on TV since this has happened now.
Right.
And we were talking in our last episode about all the darkness in the world. And then bam.
And then bam, there it is. I know.
And it's like a huge lightning bolt. Like, if somebody said to us 3 weeks ago that NFL would be praying like that,
right,
on national TV, and all these people would be praying, you'd be like, "Give me a break."
I know.
How's that going to happen?
Exactly.
But
exactly.
God picked out this young man, and this guy. I really didn't know too much about him, but after this happened, you kind of look at him and you look at his history and his interviews, and he's just a fine young man trying to help people out in the community.
His community at home.
Yeah, both places.
Charities in
Buffalo and at home. He came from I think, he came from a poorer neighborhood, I really don't know.
Yeah.
And then
there were poor people around him that he wanted to help, young children.
Yeah.
He also was part of a Christian praying group of the team. You learned about that. I know one of the women in my Bible study was saying, this might turn a lot of these people around. And I said, I think in the league, there's a lot of pockets that we'll talk about in a minute of very faithful Christian young men that is a big part of their life.
Yeah.
But it really spotlighted that.
But he just, so he's helping out, they gave him millions of dollars into his charity fund, which it didn't even have that much money. So this is a guy who, like, I don't know how much he's getting paid, but he's probably a minimum league salary guy.
It's only his second year, right?
Yeah, second year. He got drafted. He didn't get drafted in the first round. They were interviewing him earlier this year, and he's like, I'm kind of happy I didn't get drafted the first round because there wouldn't be any pressure on me. I can come here and learn this position and get better at it. It's just like he's very content. He's very humble.
Down to earth seems to be.
It's like you... I don't know. You would never find out about this guy if it didn't happen to him.
Right. Yeah.
He's not a superstar. So... But anyway, so before we go on to the next subject that we're going to talk about, you are listening to Married and Family Living with the Grassleys on 92.7. To continue this conversation.
Yes, let's continue it. Right.
Continue the conversation on the commentators and how they're telling us to pray. Yeah, it was pretty... Oh, dear grass. Oh, my gosh. Where's Bishop Lori?
Thank you. Look at the confetti.
Oh, thank you so much. You didn't have to do that.
Oh, yes, we did. Nice.
Oh, you guys are so funny. I was like, what is that noise?
Yeah, I'm like, what's Judy doing in here? What the?
Cool.
Wow, so we really are appreciated after 50 episodes. That's shocking.
Of course we are.
I can't believe it.
That was very nice.
That was very unexpected.
So, kind of a ripple effect, this domino effect. And there was an ESPN commentator, Daniel Orlovsky, and he just, out of the blue, just said, look, this is on my heart to pray right now
Yes.
So he was praying on the air, off the cuff, no explanation.
And it was live, and it was
beautiful.
It was real. Mm-hmm. He called out Jesus' name, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the other two broadcasters were kind of participated. Like that was kind of cool too, right?
Right. They had their heads bowed, their eyes closed, and made, some amen kind of comments, which was nice. They weren't like, oh my gosh, what is he doing? Because that's just unheard of.
Yeah.
But then I did some research on him, Dan. He was a quarterback for the Detroit Lions. And there's another guy, Dave Wilson, who was the chaplain there. He's on Family Life Today podcast that we do listen to.
Yep.
So I kind of dug up, and you can't really find too much about him other than he's a Christian. Wikipedia said that was it. But I found a couple of podcasts where he was on the show with Dave Wilson, and they just talked about that time where he and
John Kitna, Josh McCown.
Yeah. And the four of them were there at the same time. I think Josh came in at the same time, maybe Kitna a year or two before. And how this was like a really unique time for them. Like they really felt like God had called them to the Detroit Lions, who were terrible. Right.
Like you would think if God's going to save some souls, they'd give them a couple wins. Like let's get to 10-6 or something like that. Make the playoffs.
Right.
But no, that was not the thing. So it was.
But Dan really felt like he was a Christian, but he wasn't all in. And he saw the way these men lived their lives, where they were, very different. There was something different. And he was thinking as a competitive person, they were competitive too, but, wanting to be a better quarterback, he thought, well, I'll try this Christianity stuff, see if I'll get to be a better player,
Yeah.
But it turned out he ended up being baptized. And in that year, these men baptized 39 people.
Yeah, it's really an amazing story.
Yeah.
And I think Dan, I don't know if it was Dan or Josh McCown, I can't remember. It was hard to keep track on the...
Who was who, when they were talking.
Who was who, but, he really recognized that 1 year, he actually spent 1 year in Detroit, how it changed his life, and how if he didn't go to Detroit, he would be a totally different person that he...
Yeah, that was Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, like he wanted to be a rock and roll star, playboy guy type of thing. Hey, I'm in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well,
spending money. He
all the women.
Yeah. Yeah, this is before he was married, so he kind of just thought his life was going to be like that.
Yeah.
Even if he got married, he probably would end up divorced, and he broke down on the air talking about like how God just turned that around, and now he has a wonderful wife and marriage and kids, and he just saw that wasn't just his life saved, but his family's and any other people that they may have touched over time.
So a big light.
A big light.
Big light, if we're going to talk about the light and the darkness.
Right.
And then after Linda heard all this stuff, she went crazy and interviewed and looked up some other stuff.
Well, there was another interview on Newsmax, and Alex is one of the hosts, and Patrick McEnroe is a commentator, and they had another sports commentator on, Doug Bell, with also this guy, Coach Joe Kennedy, which several years ago was fired. You might remember his story. He was a high school coach, and he used to do a silent prayer on his knee at the 50-yard line.
Anybody who wanted to come could come. It wasn't mandatory.
No, he just started doing it, and then people joined him, and it got bigger and bigger, and it was most of the team. But anyway, this group, they were kind of talking it through, and they were just very moved and hopeful about the whole Damar Hamlin thing, where everybody has been praying, and they felt like, this guy could have just died then and there, but may have been saved by prayer, and they were just really inspired by that. But this Coach Joe Kennedy, his case, he was fired. Actually, he was asked to stop praying on the field, which he did until he found out it was against his his First Amendment right.
First Amendment right.
And he went back and did it, and that's when he got fired.
Right. So then he took the case to court and went all the way to the Supreme Court, and he won. Which is amazing.
Yep. And so there was also a lower court case that required the school to give him his job back.
So now he's going back.
Yep. And he'll be back next month in March.
Cool. Does he get back pay with that, Linda?
Well, I don't know. I know they're covering his legal fees, and he was technically like off, but paid at least for some part of it. But yeah, I don't know that detail.
So
but
we
what
could,
a
we
strong...
could, we could say that this guy got off the bench and ran the play.
Wow. Right?
Right? Because he's nobody.
Yeah.
And he still stood up for the good Lord.
Right. And Kitna and McGowan, they got off the bench. They were in the locker room. They, tried to not just, lead Bible studies and all that, but to walk the walk.
Yeah, they led by example. That was the whole thing.
Yeah, they didn't curse. They were praised their wives, never talked bad about their family or their wives. And, and here you have Joe Kennedy willing to give up his job and fight for what's right. And there's going to be many other court cases that will go this way to protect, the free speech and exercise of religion. It
could be a prayer revival.
Could be.
Yeah, so like Dan Orlowski, Orvalowski, I don't know how to say his name, but I remember he was talking about it and how the whole locker room was drawn to these guys.
Yeah, they said that it tipped to the quarterback side.
Everybody wanted to be around these guys because they were just so different, right? They were just like, oh, let's see what they're doing. Let's see what's going on. And they would try to get him to swear in anger. I mean, it was,
darn, can't make it happen.
Friendly stuff. So that was kind of cool.
Well, Deacon Joe's homily, middle of January, was talking about Christ's baptism. And the gospel stated, that it just struck me twice in this passage that John didn't know him, didn't know Christ.
How could that be? Right? It's his cousin.
It's his cousin. We know he knew him, right?
Yes.
But maybe he didn't know that Jesus was the Christ until that moment where he was baptized and the dove came, the Holy Spirit came down on him, and God said. It
opened up his eyes. Mm-hmm. It's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
So that kind of reminds me, I must say that homily didn't really resonate with me.
Oh, it did to me. I know.
So we were talking about it. I'm like, was that today? I didn't talk about it Sunday.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of Paul when the scales fall off his eyes and he can see now.
Right.
So, I mean, we're talking about stuff here that people who don't believe can easily explain away this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have the eyes, if you're looking through the world with the eyes of the Lord, you can see that this is a miracle, what's going on here.
Right.
Like, there's no doubt in my mind that Damar Hamilton would have been.
Right.
He shouldn't be here. It's a miracle. Now, it took me like 5 or 6 days to figure that out. And then all these other people, like I said, praying on the air, there's just no way you would have thought that would have happened even a month ago.
Right, yeah, because of our culture doesn't want that to happen.
Oh, my goodness, no.
But these brave people just did it because it's such a powerful part in their life.
And Deacon Joe. He got off the bench, so.
He got off the bench. Yeah, and he was saying in his homily, this is what we must all do. We have to be careful not to be, a hypocrite about it. Try, be genuine. Really? We all have flaws.
Really, because I'm a pretty good hypocrite.
Aren't we all? I know.
Do as I say, not as I do, Linda.
Right. But, we were talking last month about how we are given these things. They're right in front of us. And with our experiences, we should be able to serve others easily. But Deacon Joe also, part of that homily was about Mother Teresa healing someone on the streets of Calcutta. And a passerby came by and, she's cleaning wounds or whatever. And he said, I could never do that, not for $1 million. And her response was, neither could I.
Yeah.
And she's doing it, but it's through Christ that she could do it.
Is she doing it through Christ, or is she doing it for the reward of heaven, you think, on that one?
Well, I'm sure both, right?
Both, I guess. As long as you're doing it, that's all that matters. I'm just asking you because I do remember that in the homily. I'm like, well, why is she doing it then? So, like, I thought she would come back and say, well, I'm doing the Lord's work or something. But she just said, no, I wouldn't do it for $1 million
neither would I.
Yeah.
But that's what she was called to do. So she was not only doing it, I mean, I'm just, thinking out loud, what I felt when I heard Deacon Joe talk about it was that she was not only doing this for the sick individual, and she was not only doing it for Christ and maybe for herself. I don't think she seems much more humble than I am. So maybe she wasn't thinking that, like, this is God's will. That's what she's doing. But not so that that sick person could know who God is.
The love of Christ.
The love of Christ. See the love of Christ. But also the passerby and anyone else watching.
Yes.
And then it made me think about that story about a friend of yours who saw us at Mass. This is many years ago.
Many years ago. And that was back when we were in love. Now it's just kind of like, So,
anyway, somebody commented on how we appeared to be in love, that he could see it at church.
Yes, we were kind of happy. I mean,
I guess because we hold hands or whatever, you know. But it was the first time that it dawned on me, like, well, I mean, first of all, we're not perfect by any means, but yes, we are in love. But that people are watching.
People are picking up on it.
Yeah, picking up on things. And, you know, things might not be perfect, but, you know, we still have to be the light. And even though we're flawed, we can admit that, be humble. You know, things aren't perfect, but we just have to keep following his will.
Yeah, so even if you don't think you're doing anything, somebody's watching you maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe you are doing something. Mm-hmm. Or like, you know, I've given out a lot of these books and really haven't got too big of a response. I'm thinking to myself, that's okay.
Maybe there's one person.
It'll be there for somebody when they need it. So, all right. So what does this have to do with married and family living, Linda?
I guess our next episode will be about marriage or family living because Al's he's just getting done with this. But
this
we were going to say, like, for Lent, you know, start praying for others, praying for your spouse. Pray for those who are called to do harder things than I can do.
True.
You know?
Just these people putting themselves out there like that, right?
And pray that we come to the field to run the plays and not sit on the bench.
Okay. So let's not forget, it's Valentine's Day this month. So
Valentine's Day.
If you have a significant other, spend some time together on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. And if you know somebody who may not have someone,
give them a call.
Give them a call.
Texting doesn't
bring them a cake.
Bring them a cake. Yeah, that was pretty exciting. And let's
bring
see what
them
else.
A Valentine.
Yes, so Lent is starting this month. So if you failed at your New Year's resolutions, like myself.
If you didn't grow a mullet.
So this kind of reminded me of last Lent. When I said I was going to change, and I really haven't changed.
Well, I guess I haven't much either.
So maybe I'll just do that whole study all over again and see if it sinks in this time.
Yeah, good idea.
That might be a good idea. So
yeah.
All right.
Well, we wish you a prayerful and productive Lent.
And thank you so much for listening to us for 50 episodes. My goodness, yes. I can't believe it's been 50 episodes. And I really want to thank the WSJF team here. Really, all Linda and I do is show up and just talk for half an hour.
Yep.
Which is kind of, I mean, I enjoy it.
I do too.
So it's kind of fun. I can hear the music playing in the background, Linda. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good month.
Thanks, Al and Linda, and congratulations to all of us who were involved in the show's production on our 50th episode. Thanks to you listeners, and we'll catch you next time on Married and Family Living with the Grassleys on WSJF 92.7 FM.